Liverpool's struggles continue apace.
Nothing like the Premier League champions of last season.
The Champions campaign unravels further.
He's making a point. He's doing that on purpose.
What are you doing?
What is in the dressing room, he stays in the dressing room.
You have to think his days are numbered.
Where does Arne go from here?
The manager's got to make a tough decision.
Have we seen the last of Mo Salah in Liverpool?
Do you think he's played his last game for Liverpool?
I have no clue.
It's hard to see him accepting a situation like this.
From the Premier League summit last season to middle of the pack this time around.
I will have a conversation with Mo. I have no reasons not wanting him to stay.
So many of the questions remain as the pressure sits still on the reigning champion.
The Mo Salah saga, it's dominated this week's headlines, certainly since that explosive interview. But let's get the latest chapter now, because Arne spoke ahead of the game against Brighton. Let's hear from the Liverpool boss.
I will have a conversation with Mo this morning, and the outcome of that conversation determines how it will look tomorrow.
What do you need from him to resolve this situation then?
What I need is a conversation with him, and I think the next time I speak about Mo should be with him and not in here. But yeah, you can keep on trying, but there's not much more to say about it that I speak to him today. And like I said, the outcome of that conversation determines how things will look.
Do you want Mo to stay?
Like I said, another way of asking it, but the next time I talk about Mo should be with him, and I have no reasons not wanting him to stay, if that is a little bit of an answer to your question.
So Arne Slot's revealing there that there has been a conversation between himself and Mo Salah, saying the outcome of that conversation will determine what happens next. Well, it's been widely reported that Mo Salah is in the squad for Brighton, and that's a big deal because he was, of course, left out of the squad for Champions League. What's your reaction to this latest news before we go back on all the drama that's happened this week?
I honestly don't think there's anything wrong with it. I think in many ways he's kind of served his punishment by not going to the Champions League. So for him to be kind of reintegrated back in, I don't necessarily think it's a bad thing. And clearly they must have cleared the air for it to get to where it's got to. So for me, it's a strong thing for Liverpool that he's in that squad, because on a bad day, he scores goals. So if you can get him back to being on a good day all the time, it would be more effective for them in the run to try and win the Premier League.
Yeah, that's not really been proven that it means he's going to play, though.
Yeah, I mean, it's been a noisy week, and I think whatever decision would have come for this match tomorrow, there's still going to be noise. So if Slot had left him out or brought him in, it was still going to be very noisy. So I think it's a bit of a lose-lose either way. The reality is this is the last game before Salah goes to AFCON, so then there is time for it to calm down in some capacity. But the cameras will be pointed and they will be watching every move of Salah, where unlikely that he starts, but likely from the bench, and that will be what everyone's talking about. So it will be up to not just Salah and Slot, but also how the whole of the squad deal with that, because it's been a high-pressure season for them, and this is the latest thing that they have to deal with. So I think it's going to be difficult for everyone.
Yeah, I said last week that that Brighton game, after Salah announced that he's told his family to come, everyone's going to be watching every bead of sweat, every move, every breath Salah takes. We're all going to be watching. And I stand by that. I cannot wait for it. But if you've been living under a rock, let's just take everyone kind of through how it happened and how it all started. So Salah was benched for the third game in a row this past weekend, and that was against Leeds. He didn't feature at all. And then after, in the mix zone, gives this bombshell of an interview talking about being thrown under the bus, that somebody doesn't want him there, that he doesn't have a relationship with Arne Slot at all. When you first, what was your immediate reaction?
I honestly didn't think too much of it. Like, I left it alone. I just thought it was just somebody doing an interview. And then the next day, I saw all the rants, I saw everybody else's comments, and I was like, let me look into this again. And then I noticed, obviously, the throw under the bus part. But for me, that is the main part of it. I think if he left that out and just left with what he had said to start with, I don't necessarily think that was that bad. But if you're a Liverpool fan or you're an ex-Liverpool player, you love the club, so you're going to see it a little bit different. But I've been in those situations before, and I've handled it completely different. And the last time I handled it the way I handled all the rest of them, I got thrown under the bus by the manager. So who's right and who's wrong? Because if the manager comes out and says something, nobody really talks about it. But as soon as a player says something, it becomes an issue. And the biggest thing for me is we don't actually really know what's gone on behind the scenes for it to get to that point. And we know he's not performing well, but there was games last season where Mo wasn't performing well a lot of the time. But because he popped up and scored those important goals, everybody forgot about the rest of his performance.
Yeah.
So for me, it's a hard one. I think, like I said, he served his punishment in my eyes. And I think they should just try and get him back to the Salah we all know and love.
Yeah, we're going to get Flo's thoughts in just a moment. I wanted to expand on something you said. You've been in that situation before. How tricky is it? Because the manager obviously has this public platform, press conferences, pre-match, post-match interviews, and you as a player don't really. And so to kind of tell your side of the story, which is what it felt like he was doing, how else was he meant to do it? So can you empathize with him in some ways and understand, and in some ways think that maybe he should have done it differently?
Yeah, I can definitely understand where he's coming from, because it is a hard space to navigate, especially when you're somebody of that stature and you want to play all the time. You want to help your team win. You want to achieve those personal accolades even more. And he's in a position where he feels like, I should be playing. And I was lucky enough to have good teammates around me that helped me navigate it. Now, I'm not saying that he doesn't have good teammates, but I don't know whether they saw what Mo did come in to try and help steer him away from it. But you have conversations all the time, and I know that he doesn't speak to the press that often. So
yeah, it's not just teammates as well. It's the whole wider ecosystem that a player exists in, right? Because you would have had, I'm sure, Sean, plenty of opportunities where you could have taken this nuclear option, where you burn a lot of bridges by saying something very publicly, and not saying that you're old, but for a lot of your career, social media is very different now, right? So not only has Salah...
Speaking of burning bridges, dropping bombs here, what? No, first time this season, early start.
Towards the end of your career, social media was much bigger. Yeah. But, you know, he not only has done the mix zone moment, he's also been posting on social media and been very loud this week. So yes, it is intentional, it is tactical. The only other time we've seen Mo Salah do this was before the contract renewal. So yes, him and his team know this is a very public way to say what you want to say.
Yes.
Is it the right thing to do? I think from a player's perspective, and I agree with Sean, we will never quite know the exact conversations that have happened between Slot and Salah about how many minutes he's expected to get this season. But the size of his contract would imply that there was some understanding he would play quite a key role.
And one of his quotes as well, when he said there were promises made, right, or promises broken. Flo, what I really want from you is to explain to people at home, because we've all said mix zone as if everybody understands what that means. It's not as if the club have put Salah up for this interview, or that it's gone any other way than he stopped, as he did with the more out than in quotes last season, and spoken to someone, which he very rarely does.
Yeah, I think for everyone at home, the mix zone is essentially almost like a catwalk that the players come through, but more often than not, they come through as a sort of formality, but very often they don't stop. You know, there are some players like captains or players who are, you know, like Van Dijk may stop because that he's expected, he's a leader, yeah, he will sort of speak for the team.
Or if they recognise someone. Or if they have a good relationship
with a particular journalist. But more often than not, a lot of players won't stop, but they'll come through with their wash bag after a game. Sean's been there, keep your head down, get your hat on, go through. So the fact that Salah stopped as a substitute, unused substitute as well, is very, very rare, that you would come and speak to the press after not even featuring in the game, which shows that there was something that him and his team wanted to be said, wanted to be vocal about, and, you know, it obviously captured the attention. Then not only that, but the noises continued by posting the gym photo, posting the picture in the park as well. So I think for Salah and the sort of consequences of all this, they would have known going in that this probably was going to cause quite a lot of disruption. The question for me is, what is the ultimate goal going to be here? Is it going to be that Salah leaves Liverpool, or is it going to be that he's making a point to either get more minutes or he wants a managerial change? That's the big question mark. You know, some Liverpool media are frustrated with the way that they believe it's throwing more pressure on Slot at a time where he's under pressure and his future is in doubt, right? So that's the big question mark for me, because there is a scenario where maybe everyone can come out on top. Maybe everyone's a winner here. Maybe Salah gets his move. Liverpool get a very big fee for him in January and he goes to Saudi potentially, because that feels like the only logical option. The only club that could afford him in January, the only clubs that could afford his salary too. But at the moment, there is so many things that are up in the air and it's just tense. It's loud, it's noisy and it's tense.
Can you go in and do the negotiations? You've put that so calmly and the solution you've offered is so much better than anything I've heard at all. You were mentioning the Liverpool press team, and there is that shot of, I don't know who it is in the background, just realizing what Salah has done, what he said, and the fallout from this is going to be absolutely nuclear. You can see the moment when it's just hit home that, this is going to be really bad. You've said what you think his motivation is or his end goal is. Sean, what do you think it was? And do you think it was premeditated? I think that's the big question we all have.
I think talking and listening to Flo, I can see that side of it being a tactical strategy. I don't necessarily think it will be to get a move. I think it's more to make noise. Like, I'm here, why aren't you playing me? To try and force his hand to, like, say, like she said, give me some more minutes. Why am I on the bench? Like, the last game he played, last game there was, he got overlooked. Now, this is a Salah that scores clutch moment goals. Liverpool needed that moment and he just kind of just bypassed him, like Salah hasn't done anything. And I think that hurt him the most. I think that was for him the kicker and the last straw that made him kind of erupt in many ways.
Yeah, because it is, if you look at the numbers, if you look at performances at, you know, his record at Liverpool, it's one of the greatest players of all time in Liverpool's history. It's not just anybody, it's Mo Salah. While the fallout from that continued, Liverpool went to Milan without Salah. And they went and they won. That was big in midweek. But while they were away, Mo Salah was continuing this. Mo Salah's moving mad. They were posting this week in the gym all by myself. If I was brave, I would have sang that. He's continuing this, like, it feels like a campaign now when you see it like this.
Yeah, I think it's difficult because I think if we were used to a player who was very public facing, then it would be different. But going back to Sean's experience, if you are a player who has historically posted a handful of things on social media, you don't do a ton of interviews, you're quite, quiet, then it does come as a surprise and it becomes a very sort of public, intentional strategy when you are so sort of open with what you're saying and what you're posting. And that's why it does feel slightly orchestrated, I think. And I think it's frustrating then for probably fans and the squad and the club when these things become so public, when behind closed doors, perhaps there already have been conversations that obviously, we're not privy to, but the conversation that Slot's been referencing is very much feels like they were blindsided, and now is the start of the communication between Salah's representatives, between the club, between Slot and Salah individually. It does feel like the club feel quite blindsided about everything.
Sean, give us some insight into the dressing room, because that's the other big question now, the reaction of the players. How many would have seen it? How many would just want to get on with things? What do you think?
I would personally, like, if I go back to my time, if things like that happen, you kind of want to move on. You don't want it to distract you more than you're already being distracted, because they're not on a good run. So you need, like, basically tunnel vision. And that is like another distraction. So for them not to see it, some players it might have hurt to, like, say, why would you say that sort of thing? Why didn't you come and speak to us if you felt that way? But that is something they have to deal with. Like they're not in the greatest run of form. And he's one of the people that can change it. I don't think they create enough chances with him on the pitch. I think they miss Trent. Salah misses him more than anybody because that's where a lot of his proceeds come from. And I think that they need to get everybody back to where they were in that same boat, going the exact same way. Because at the minute, it just feels like the club, the players are a bit kind of all over the place.
Yeah, and that will happen when you're in that kind of run of form, Flo.
Yeah, I was just going to add to that as well. I do think it's probably helped the way that the Liverpool have handled this, I think, has not been too sort of loud and leaky. So I think that shows that the squad is quite tight. You haven't seen a lot of the coverage around this has not been from the noise of other representatives and other players. Slot's been very straightforward in the questions that he's answered around it and tried to not give too much away rather than reacting emotionally. Of course, he was frustrated, I think, in those immediate interviews we saw, but it could have been a lot worse when Salah said what he said about you as the coach, right? So I think Slot's tried to be quite calm. It feels like behind the scenes, Liverpool are trying to handle it in the best way possible, whereas at other clubs, I think we would have seen a lot more noise from elsewhere. And I think that also shows that the squad are fairly tight in trying to make sure that people handle this business in the least messy way as possible, even though it is a bit of a mess anyway.
Do you think it's them being tight, or do you think it's them kind of just staying out of it? Because the image I get is they just don't want no part in it. Unless they're asked the question, they're just going to stay as far away from it as possible.
Yeah, I think it's a bit of both, because obviously journalists will be sending messages, ringing around, trying to get as much of paint the picture as possible. But actually, when you read a lot of the coverage around it, there's the noisiest stuff has come from ex-players around Liverpool Football Club. They're the ones who kind of probably most upset about it. And that individual group have tried to kind of really keep it tight. I think Van Dijk spoke after the game midweek, and he's the only one who's really had to come and speak about it. And he's the captain, so he will, of all players, know how to deal with it. But I think other clubs, I think it's a good reflection of maybe how Liverpool have controlled this. Other clubs, we probably would have seen much more kind of reaction run through from the whole squad.
But also indicating the fact that they have known Mo Salah for so long, that they have won league titles together, that he has been there for such a long time. And so, as you said, maybe, not too sure.
But we'll start with the player who has dominated the conversation in the game since his Saturday night outburst. Mo Salah accused Liverpool of throwing him under the bus, having been left on the bench at Leeds. And after missing the trip to Milan, he posted a picture of himself alone in the gym at the club's training base. Is there a way back, or is one of the greatest Anfield careers over? Arne Slot faced those questions first thing this morning. This is what he had to say.
What I need is a conversation with him, and I think the next time I speak about Mo should be with him and not in here. But yeah, you can keep on trying, but there's not much more to say about it that I speak to him today. And like I said, the outcome of that conversation determines how things will look tomorrow.
Can I just ask though, is part of the issue asking him to do more defensively?
Now you can try it in multiple ways, but I think I just said that the next time I speak about him should be with him. We've spoken a lot in the last week after the Sunderland game. I think there have been a lot of conversations between his representatives and our representatives and him, between him and me, after the Sunderland game. And today I will speak to him again.
Have you had an apology though, or do you need an apology?
Might be the last one.
Normally I would say you've had your 3 questions. I think this is the 4th or the 5th, but same answer again. I think we've decided as a club, and I was part of that decision, not to take him towards the Inter Milan game. And I'm always in contact with them. But when it comes to the decision making of the lineup or the squad, they always leave that open to me. But that's not to say that I don't talk to them. Mainly Richard, by the way, not Michael.
Do you want Mo to stay?
Sorry?
Do you want Mo to stay here?
Like I said, another way of asking it, but the next time I talk about Mo should be with him. And I have no reasons not wanting him to stay, if that is a little bit of an answer to your question.
Do you still have a relationship with him then? As in, I know you said otherwise, but is it fair to say that there's a relationship?
Really, they have better questions than you. No, I wouldn't say better, but they tried in multiple. It's useless of asking this question if I've said so many times the same answer.
Given the fact you're unbeaten in 4, do you feel some sort of justification for your decisions, or do you feel like the performances are just improved?
This club has won a lot of games with him. So that's an answer to your question, I think.
So that's Arne Slot's view, and Gary Neville has also weighed in on the Salah debate following Slot's comments. Speaking at his University Academy 92 launch event today, the former Manchester United defender compared the standoff between the forward and his manager to the way Cristiano Ronaldo handled his exit from Old Trafford.
I see it from both sides. I see it from I wouldn't see it from an ordinary player's side. But when you have this level of player that's almost like the best in the world, which I would put Mo Salah up there with, you just sometimes not have to accept what he's done, because Cristiano Ronaldo did it here and I didn't take to it too kindly at all. I think those players have an expectancy, in my opinion, to bring everybody along with them. But it is not unusual behaviour for a player of that level of quality and talent. They often have that sort of different outlook on things. It's easy for me when it's at Liverpool because I can sit back and relax a little bit. I wouldn't like if it was at my club, Manchester United, and I didn't do a few years ago when Cristiano did it and he went and did the big interview. I thought it was wrong. I thought the timing was wrong. I thought the way in which it was delivered was wrong, and I can see why Liverpool fans would be upset that he's gone in there after the game. But actually, I was doing the game. I thought he should have come on the pitch, was my personal opinion. I said it in commentary, that I thought substitutions should be made and that Liverpool needed to go for it. And they did score a goal pretty quickly after, but I still thought he should have been on the pitch. And I can see why he was upset, but I can also see it from Liverpool's perspective, that they feel let down and they feel like he's obviously put a lot of attention on them that wasn't needed in a moment of challenge and difficulty. So I see it from both sides. I don't think, if it was a player that didn't have the level of talent or experience or success of Mo Salah, I think that they would probably be kicked out pretty quickly. But when you're that exceptional and you're that talented, and you have I'm not going to call it the ego, but the presence of a great player, you don't accept being put on the bench and not being put on. You just don't. I played with a number of players who were exactly the same, who, to be fair, left this club the minute that was their case. It was the case for them. So I can see it from both sides.
And joining us for Premier League Friday today, Jodie Morris and Clinton Morrison. Boys, thank you so much for joining us. We just saw Gary Neville talking there about the Salah situation. I don't think enough people have had their say on it, so I thought I'll put it to you guys as well. Jodie, I'll start with yourself. Having seen everything that's been going on, is there a way back for Mo here?
I think there is a way back. Yeah. I think whenever you're a player of that level and stature, I think there needs to be the door open. But then it's up to the manager and the club whether that's and the play, obviously, whether that's doable. I think he's been out of order, and I think I think if anyone who knows this type of play, Mo Salah knew exactly what he was doing when he gave that interview. I think he crossed the line. I think Liverpool have addressed it well. I think the manager has addressed it well. But I think there's always a way back when you're that level of player like Mo Salah. So, of course. We have to see how it plays out.
Well, 100%. Interested that you said this type of play or this type of thing. The manager has, seemingly come out well. I think he's handled his interviews really, really good. But Clinton, how unsettling is this really going to be to that squad? Because they got a great result in midweek, of course. Any team going to the San Siro.
Yeah, it'll be a bit unsettling. But first and foremost, that group of players, you're playing for Liverpool Football Club. They pay your wages. So first and foremost, whatever's happening with Mo Salah, once he picks you and you cross that white line, you've got to go out there and deliver. Listen, it's hard. In a way, I see where Mo Salah's coming from, but I agree with what Jodie said. He can't say some of the stuff. If you fell out with your manager, me personally, and I'm not comparing because I never will. Mo Salah's here, I'm down here. But what I'm going to say is there's many times I fell out with my manager, but what I will do is I wouldn't come out and say it publicly. I'd go and see him and we'll go toe to toe, and then we'll have, if we've got a disagreement, I'll tell him how I feel. Mo Salah in his way thinks he shouldn't have been dropped. Well, he should have been dropped, but he's probably looking at it and think others should have been dropped. But if he drops everyone, he can't pick an 11, can he? Because everyone's not been performing. But I think we are talking about it because it's Mo Salah and the standards that he sets. But I hope there's a way back because, as Jodie said, he's a terrific player. He'll go down as one of the best players to ever play in the Premier League. He'll go down as a legend at that football club. So I can understand Mo Salah's frustration, but I don't think you can ever kind of dig out your manager. Because at the end of the day, Jodie would tell you he's been a coach. And managers don't have to be friends with players. All they need to do is just coach them. And he's got 20-something players to coach, not just Mo Salah. So if he makes that decision, I know how big Mo Salah is, probably just have a word with him. But hopefully, he said sorry this morning, but I doubt it.
Yeah, I mean, he said they'd spoken. What's really interesting, though, is obviously Slot was having a really tough time. He was getting to a point where the fans were kind of going, get him out, don't want him there. He's handled this situation so well. Do you think this has almost come at the right time for him? It's almost a way for him to kind of get the fans on side? Because Jamie Carragher was saying today that he thinks that Slot's actually the winner in this, not that there should be one.
Yeah, and I think Carragher's right. I think that if there's any Liverpool fans that were maybe talking about how poor Slot has been or the team or whatever,
if Mo Salah don't say anything, the pressure's on the Slot because Liverpool weren't getting the results. Now he said something because it's such a star like Mo Salah, one of the best in the world. All we're talking about is Mo Salah, so he's kind of gone under the radar. And then the Inter Milan result was fantastic. It was a big result for them. It's a hard place to go to Inter Milan, and for them to get the 1-0 result is fantastic. There's only probably one person hoping they didn't get the result, and he was sitting back at home. And that's how you think sometimes as a footballer. So that he would have probably been thinking, and I'm not saying that, but that's how footballers think. When you're not involved, you're like thinking, I hope it doesn't go well for him. But as I say, Arne Slot comes out of it the good guy, and hopefully now Liverpool can kick on. But for the sake of the Premier League and for Liverpool Football Club, I'd love Mo Salah to still be in a Liverpool
And it's also a shame for Mo Salah because you go, if he is not going to play for Liverpool again, what a way to ruin what, not, he ain't going to ruin it. He's always going to have like Cara said the other day, he's always going to have a legacy there. But just a shame that you've been such a world-class player, such an amazing performer for Liverpool. Why do something like this? And he knew what he was doing. That's what the worst thing about it is, that he knew what he was doing.
That's it. I mean, you look at the Mo Salah of last season, and you look at the type of goals that he scored and everything like that, his performances. This is a player that you kind of look at it, and that's why I get what Gary Neville was saying. You see it from both sides, because in his eyes, he's going, look what I achieved, but then the manager's going, well, it's not working right now.
Yeah.
I mean, so go on then, Clinton. Where do you think they go from here?
One thing I will say is no player is bigger than any football club, and especially not bigger than Liverpool. So that's what I would say. But from here, what I'm thinking is, will he say sorry? I hope this morning when Arne Slot done his press conference, he said, I'm going to speak to Mo Salah. Hopefully Mo Salah's gone and just said sorry. Look, there's a lot of talk that Mo Salah went and met Jordan Henderson. And I know what Hendo's like as a captain, as a character. Maybe he would have said to him, you know what, just go in and maybe go and say sorry. I don't know if he said that. I'd have loved to have been a fly on the wall to hear their conversation.
Does that happen though, between the lads? Like, do you think another player might go up to him and say, look,
I think Steven Gerrard hit the nail on the head when he spoke midweek, when he went, he's had a similar situation with Luis Suarez, and he actually, Stevie said, I think Mo Salah will, when he actually has a look at it, will say, do you know what, I probably shouldn't have said this, and maybe cross the line. And like I said, when you're a player of Luis Suarez levels, which Mo Salah is, they had to figure that out back in the day, and Stevie was part of that. And it wouldn't surprise me if Virgil van Dijk or any of the, like maybe the leadership group or whatever involved at Liverpool are not getting together going, OK, he apologises. I'm sure the manager, the fact that he's talking and saying, look, he needs to say the right things to me for me to involve him. And I quite like that from him as well, because he's still not backing down going, I'm going to be dictated to by a player. But at the same time, knowing when you're that level, you go, if he does apologise, and let's clean slate, let's go again.
Yeah.
Because everyone wins then.
Absolutely. Well, the people you want to be, obviously, are Liverpool fans. They're the ones that are kind of like witnessing